It is game week. My God, you have no idea how good it feels to say those words. We have waited months, all calendar year, because we never made the playoffs, that we were waiting to say it's game week for the New York Jets. It is here. It is time to preview the game. You already know, we talk Jets every single day, but now we have somebody who talks the Steelers every single day. Woo-wee! We're gonna talk. We're gonna have a grand old time. It's gonna be a nice preview. We are live. Boy Green meets Wudi.
Can you guys help us get a Jet chant here? Yeah, going.
Oh.
Okay, right, yeah. Come on in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go!
J-E-T-S, Jets! Let's go! J-E-T-S, Jets! Let's go! There you go, Wudi!
Third Party Thursday.
Chris joining us here on the program with a capital P here on the program.
Jake Asman, come on down. How you doing, good sir?
Wow, what an intro. I mean, the boy Green is known for having the intro, but Wudi, that was unreal, man. Thanks for the kind words, son.
We are men of many names.
My favorite Austrian Jets fan right there,
Okay.
baby. Boy Green
Meets Wudi. Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. You know it's your boy, James Wudi, and we are Wudi, rocking everywhere. Right here. Oh, he's leaning with it. He's rocking with it. It is the boy who became king, Mr. Paul Esden Jr. But as you heard in the intro, we used to have a special episode. We called it Third Party Thursday. It is back. We are back like we never left. And from the sick pod, okay? Talking Steelers. Allow us to go behind enemy lines, if you will. One half of the pod. Give us Mike Nicastro. Come on down. How you doing, good sir?
Fellas, thank you for having me. Man, you got me ready to run through a wall, Wudi. Like, I'm ready to suit up right now and play special teams or wherever they'll have me. By the way, that intro video is awesome, but I saw you guys dancing. What was that, 2008, 2012? Was that when that was taken? Because, you haven't had much to dance about and jump around about at the tailgates afterwards. When was that taken, guys? Come on now.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Mike. That's a fair point, especially in a couple of these Jets Steelers memories. I think back to a certain AFC Championship game, a certain pocket of time, a certain kicker in that 2004-ish range. That gave me a few problems there, so I appreciate you bringing that up immediately at the beginning of our reunion here, Mike. So God bless. Welcome to the show. Take your feet off at your shoes off at the door. Appreciate that. Very nice.
Yeah, no doubt. Was that Nick Folk? I have that right?
No, that wasn't.
No,
well, Nick Folk, you were thinking about a certain Brian, if that that hits. So,
sorry, guys.
but thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
I'll welcome him in right now. No.
Hey, by the way, let me throw this in immediately. We're going to get all kinds of Jets Steelers action as we do this game preview ahead of the game on Sunday, September 7th. The season opener. I see just coming in here. Wait a second, Wudi. Wait a second. All kinds of jokes are being cracked, but wait a second. Oh, Cam Hayward is in some street clothes, not participating in practice, not liking his contract situation. I thought Jets were supposed to be about the drama. What's going on there in this Steel City, Mike?
Tell you what, it's a strange situation that came out of absolutely nowhere. Cam has spent his entire career building up so much goodwill within our fan base. I mean, you got a Walter Payton Man of the Year in Cam Hayward, right? Who just signed a new contract last year, gentlemen. Last year, put pen to paper, right? And, he came to camp and basically said, hey, I went to the Steelers and said, whenever I have an all-pro season, I want a raise. Well, listen, that's something you need to put in the clause a year ago, right? Like, this is an agent screw up. It shouldn't be mad at the Steelers. You got to be mad at your agent, right? Now, I mean, there's obviously two parts of this. One, yeah, he was an All-Pro. It probably does deserve a raise. He's like I think the 20th highest paid defensive lineman in the league. He's a hell of a lot better than that. But at the same time, this is Cam's fault. This isn't on the Steelers, because he put pen to paper. So it came out of nowhere. I wouldn't say it's been a distraction. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, to be honest. Cam is still such a stand-up guy. This isn't an Aaron Rodgers-esque distraction, guys. This is a gentleman who wants a couple more $1 million, who in all likelihood is going to play. I think it's kind of a little bit of a threat right now, guys. Like, ooh, maybe if we're a couple more million, I'll certainly suit up. He's going to play. He's built up too much goodwill. He's such a good guy. He's a team captain. He was voted a captain this past week. If team doesn't think he's going to play or hold out, you don't get voted a captain. You guys are pretty familiar with another name, Le'Veon Bell, who was probably the last Steeler to threaten to hold out days before training camp started, and we know what he did. He held out the entire freaking year. This is a completely different situation. Jets fans prepare for Cam to play on Sunday, and I don't know if he's going to play with his hair on fire. He always does, or I think it'll be more of like a, hey, let me show you guys once more that I deserve some extra cash, even though I don't think he's getting it.
Yeah, see, that was going to be my follow-up, because to your point, he signs an extension in September. It was a year ago to this date, and then less than a year later, already looking for that pay raise. And that's the thing I wasn't sure, and that's what some Steelers fans have been saying in the brief amount of time that news broke, about an hour or so before we started this podcast. The Steelers fans are saying, well, half of them appear to be saying, hey, calm down here. He gets rest days all the time. Let's see what the injury report says. That will determine whether it's a rest day or he just straight up held out and skipped out. Or if he didn't, because on his podcast, hey, are you going to be out there on Sunday? We will see. That's not no. That's not yes. That's sort of cryptic, a little bit of action. So you think it's all just a bunch of fluff. Just to reiterate that Cam Hayward, unfortunately, the Jets are going to be seeing that first-team All-Pro, 8 sack, 11 pass deflection, 20 quarterback hit guy from last season, one of the El Capitans of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to be out there on the field on Sunday. You believe, Mike?
Yeah, Mike Tomlin didn't mince words. He said he was playing yesterday at his press conference. So I'd imagine head coach, leader of the team, has a pretty damn good idea of what his star defensive lineman is going to do. Can he change his mind? Yeah, I suppose, right? That could certainly happen, but I would be shocked. Put it in maybe 5% chance that he doesn't play, unless he pulls the old. Guys, my hamstring, it's starting to tighten up on me a little bit, right? Like I'm feeling, walking into the room right now. I'm getting old over here, but no, I think honestly, it's something where this is going to all be forgotten about 3 weeks, 4 weeks into the season, and football will be the focus.
It's a little too soon to bring up captains and injuries to the Jets world. Yesterday, we got that devastating update confirmed today. Our captain, Elijah Vera-Tucker, out for the year. But I do want to ask a question that I definitely could have used the answer to yesterday when I was drafting my fantasy football team, but it's okay. I'll just ask you today. Jaylen Warren. All right, I heard Mike Tomlin say a lot of great things about him. He's going to be a featured back. We're talking, great runner. I personally had never seen it when Najee, went out. He was out here catching passes. But for fantasy purposes, Jaylen Warren, Caleb Johnson, and of course, obviously this Sunday as well. What are you expecting to see from that? Largely unproven running back room.
By the way, I had 2 drafts last night going on at like the same time. I think it was the first time I've ever had that, and I had to toggle between both screens.
Fun. Yeah.
You know what? It's awesome, but it was freaking stressful. I never thought I could have that much stress doing something that I love that much. I'm sick in the head. I have 6 teams. 6. Yeah.
Good.
The reason is because 3 of them are dynasty, so they've carried over for 7 years now. So I'm not drafting those, but technically it's 6 teams. So it's it's pretty sickening. I drafted Jalen Warren on one of those teams a couple of weeks ago in a standard league before he signed this contract and before he was officially named RB1 on the depth chart. Steeler fans really like Jalen Warren. The last 4 years, we've clamored for Jalen to get more carries than Najee. Najee was the benefactor of being a first-round pick and the Steelers not wanting to look like they had egg on their face by, benching a guy they took number 22 overall. But the eye test always told us Warren was the best running back on the field. From a fantasy perspective, I'd have him as a high-end RB3, low-end RB2. He's a guy that is more appreciated for other things he can do on the field. He's one of the best pass protectors at running back that you'll ever see. You guys watch that this Sunday, especially because the Steelers also have an offensive line troubles. So I mean, that's obviously something you won't see in a box score. Incredible. Better receiver than Najee. He's a bowling ball, man. I always said that he reminds me of Ray Rice when he runs. Small, sturdy, and a good human too. But at the end of the day, he's an improvement over Najee. He's a great dude. His split with Caleb Johnson, I think we're going to see 80-20 out of the gate.
Wow.
81-20
Okay.
Caleb. Yeah. Caleb kind of struggled this preseason. He just looked a little slow, guys. And I got a lot of shit for saying that on Twitter. He ran a 4.6. Like numbers don't lie at the end of the day. Oh, but people would say, but he has next level, second level burst when he gets, 20 yards downhill, then he's running his 4.3. Well, no, probably not. But I'm saying 80-20 out the gate. I still like Caleb. He'll probably get a lot of the goal line touches still. That number over the season, though, Wudi, we'll definitely start to see more of a timeshare just to keep these backs healthy. Kenneth Gainwell's there too. He might get more touches than Caleb out of the gate. Seriously.
Wow. Okay. That is news for James Woody's fantasy team and all those out there as well, baby. Again, we have Mike Gashdarn the Castro here on the program, the host of the sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast in the gosh darn universe here on the program. So appreciate him taking the time here for this Jets Steelers conversation. Now, let me ask you about this. Aaron Rodgers, and this was kind of interesting. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers in a different way, but this first part I thought was interesting. I was listening to his press conference, and sure, he dodged most of the Jets questions, but the thing I found most fascinating is he said the sneaky thing basically that could help decide this game is unscouted looks. Week one, all kinds of weird ass stuff happens in week ones in general, let alone in this specific case where you have a first time NFL offensive play caller and Tanner Engstrand, and Steve Wilkes is a brand new defensive coordinator, not new to the defensive coordinator position. He's done that a long time, but new with the Jets. So there's just a lot of unscouted looks. And Aaron Rodgers says the analytics people he's spoken with say that in between 30 and 40% of what the Steelers and Jets, vice versa, both to each other will see is stuff that they kept from each other. They didn't put out there in the preseason, and they're saving it for this game. And he says whichever team handles those unscouted looks the best might end up winning this game. I'm curious, Mike, do you agree with your QB1, Aaron Rodgers?
Still sounds weird, QB1 for the Steelers. It probably did for you guys, right? 2 years ago also. I'm glad you brought up that quote. That was really the only thing of substance that he said a couple of days ago. He's been nothing but joyous and high-spirited. And he kind of gave a little attitude, yesterday in his press conference. But I think it is a great point. I think he's exactly right. I don't think you can put too much stock into preseason. I think there were overreactions for field struggles and your offensive struggles because of that. Exactly. So I'm honestly not putting a ton of stock in that, the same way that, Skylar Thompson threw, a perfect game, whenever he got some time for the Steelers. But yeah, this is classic NFL chess match stuff, right, guys? Like, why would you show your hand during meaningless football when obviously you have the opportunity to save those plays, put them in your back pocket, and that 60%, right, you can start to roll out in week one when it actually matters. So, yeah, I mean, it at the same time, right, like those unscouted plays obviously haven't been run. They haven't tested them. There's no rapport yet. Who knows? Rodgers and Metcalf have never worked together in a game scenario. Rodgers and anybody haven't worked together in a game scenario in Pittsburgh. So I hope it's not an excuse, right? I know as we get to the game and talk a little bit more about it, we'll get into it. But I'm expecting just a knockdown, drag out, slog fest of a game anyway, because it's week one, and we're going to see some rust, I think, from both teams naturally. But yeah, we're definitely going to see some new looks, and I think Aaron was spot on with that.
Yeah, no chemistry. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf. That sucks. Too bad our quarterback and wide receiver don't have that problem. Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, baby. Going back to that Ohio State tape. Beautiful. But actually, speaking of Justin Fields, I'm curious. Give it to us straight here. Yeah. The ex-girlfriend. Okay, we're all just here. No one else is here. Don't pay attention to the hundreds of people that are watching the show right now. Don't worry about them. It's just me, you, and Wudi sitting at the bar. Ex-girlfriend Justin Fields. Did you guys really want him back this offseason? And I'm talking about like from a fan perspective. Did you guys really want him back when you heard that he's coming to the Jets and then you were playing him week one? Sort of take us through the emotional roller coaster that all entailed over the last 6-7 months or so.
Yeah, I still find my ex-girlfriend attractive. Don't tell my wife that. Okay. And yeah, it's Justin Fields. I wanted him back. I think fans were on the side of wanting him back as well, comparatively, because they were also looking at Russell Wilson as the other option, right? And I think that was part of that pie chart. Was like, at the time for me, and I think I'd speak for other fans, it was a who else is out there scenario, right? Like, okay, we weren't high enough in the draft to get a Cam Ward type, obviously. So check that off. So we weren't going to find a starter in the draft. Kirk Cousins was like another name, obviously being thrown around out there. So comparing Fields to Cousins, right? Doing the same with Russell Wilson. So it was kind of based on that to a large degree. I think what's changed at that time, nobody was talking about Aaron Rodgers being a Steeler potentially, or being on the open market, and getting Aaron Rodgers at $7 million less than you guys are paying Justin Fields this year. That's what changed in Steeler fans, and that's what turned. For me, though, before I knew that Rodgers was an option or that he'd be getting $13 million this season, Team Fields all the way, because of his upside, his ability to make plays off script, right? That's stuff that you can't teach. I was talking to somebody this week, and I said, if none of the units are sharp and there's rust all over the field, and there's really one difference maker in this game that could be the deciding factor, and that's Justin Fields' legs, right? Nobody else has that in this game, where if shit hits the fan and both offenses look terrible, somebody could change the game in one play, and that's Fields. And I saw a lot of that last year with him. I will say that something that I have some big time Jets fans that I'm friends with, and they've asked me a lot too. Something that I've honestly worried about is he is such a nice, humble kid, like quiet, very quiet and nice and humble. I don't know if that's going to work in New York. Like I don't know if he is going to be able to handle that pressure. I think there's a little bit of Fields. I know he played in a big market in Chicago, but I don't know if he's necessarily a bright lights guy, seriously. And I saw that a couple times last year, struggled against the Cowboys in a big spot on Sunday Night Football, played better in the games that were, hey, CBS, 1 o'clock start, here's the Raiders, right, here's the Colts. But I think a big portion for him is that mental side. And it's not the mental side in terms of like his smarts or his ability to read the field. It's when there's pressure And when things aren't going well, and when the crowd is, he's hearing it from the New York fans, and the big market pressure starts to maybe feel a little bit of weight on his shoulders, how will he respond? I don't necessarily think that that's something that he's going to, just overcome immediately in terms of that adversity, but to be determined. But I like Justin Fields. I wanted him back as a Steeler. So I'm not immediately jumping ship by any means. And we're definitely going to have egg on our face for sure if he reaches that potential that we all know he has.
Hey, Mike, real quick, what time is the game on Sunday?
Okay,
1 o'clock CBS. Okay, no, I just want to make sure.
But your fans aren't Colts fans, are they?
Well, that's also true. Go ahead, Wudi.
Yeah. I can't lie, Mike. I am actually, Boy Green and I, we are in two different camps. A lot of times we are when we, analyze the Jets. I wanted Rodgers back. I was sick to my stomach. And even the way they did it, according to, what Aaron said, not even giving him the chance of, the time of day, all that doesn't sit right with me. That's why I was so, nervous when they first announced this game. But anyway, looking at the Steelers, and like this is from the outside looking in, I felt like last year you guys were humming along, and then fantasy, it always goes back to fantasy. My guy, sure. George Pickens gets hurt. And then we're trying to make do with, Calvin Austin and some of the other guys at play. So when the Steelers made this blockbuster trade for DK, I said, damn, wow, now they got Pickens. They so got DK. It's game time. It's game time. But now, just like Will Smith, in the Fresh Prince, we got the empty house. Because now it seems like they're doing the same plan with DK. So I just want to talk about that. Would you agree with my synopsis of last year, and B, are they one DK, hangnail away from having a very bad receiving core? Like, what's going on with the Steelers receivers?
Yes. yeah. It might be a blister, hangnail, whatever comes about. What's interesting though on the Pickens subject? Listen, all your points are spot on. Man, I brought up Le'Veon Bell earlier, and he doesn't even compare to the headache that Pickens was. I'm dead serious.
Wow.
I know you guys aren't as close to the situation, similar to as the way Pittsburghers weren't as close to the situation with Aaron whatsoever. But honestly, might be addition by subtraction with George, because he's a mess, and he wouldn't have messed with Aaron. I promise you that. But at the same time, right, on the flip side of that is they didn't really replace him with anything. Actually, no, hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit. They didn't replace him with anything at receiver. I think an X factor for the Steelers this year is Jonnu Smith. And you guys saw a lot of him last year, obviously. The guy caught like 86 passes. And, people were saying, he's a throw-in in the Ramsey for Fitzpatrick trade. The guy was a top 10 in the AFC in receptions, scored a bunch of touchdowns. I know the Dolphins had Hill and Waddle out for missed some time, but the guy is a beast. Like I said, you guys are aware of that. So he's the number two on this team, clear number two, along with, I think, Pat Freiermuth is, in there as well, tight end. But yeah, in terms of depth, they didn't do a very good job, similar to last year. If this ends up another 9-8 year and no playoff win, or barely missed the playoffs like it's been the last handful of years, fans are going to have their torches out for GM Omar Khan. And the number one reason might be the fact that they didn't bring in another weapon for Rodgers. Going out this way, you want to give him everything at his disposal. And there were guys out there. Keenan Allen was out there for a while. I know he said he wanted to play in the West Coast, but money talks. Gabe Davis, I know, just signed. They had him in twice. He wouldn't have moved the needle that much, but at least he's a body. But
Alan Lazard is available. Yeah. I just want to throw that out there. He is still available. Yep.
I would take him at this point. Do you guys not want him? Like, is he just a Rodgers?
I mean, I want him, but that's again, we're in two different camps. He's our wide receiver too. Like that's a pretty big loss.
Why is he still on the team? I'm a little bit surprised by that, to be honest.
You know, he took a pay cut.
An $8.5 million pay cut, because you would have thought, right? Lazard is like, my boy Rodgers is clearly gone now. Obviously, that decision was already made. That when the Jets said, "Hey, Allen, come on in to the office," we'd love to keep you, but we want you to take $8.5 million less. Then Allen could have said, "Oh, interesting. Bend over, and I'll show you where you can shove that pay cut that you want to give me." But he apparently, I don't want to say happily took it. That's probably misconstruing it. But like, he ended up taking it after some back and forth. The Jets would have had no choice but to cut him and make him a true free agent. Then he could have went where he went. So that to me is sort of curious. He obviously decided not to. It took a massive pay cut to stay here. So it is a little weird. Yeah.
It surprised me. One of those things where, when the Steelers got Rodgers, every Steelers fan is like, "All right, Devontae on the way. Alan Lazard right behind him. Here comes Jordy Nelson out of retirement." Jermichael Finley walking through that door. But yeah, the Steelers number 2 and 3, Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin at receiver. They fit well as a 3 and 4, but there's no number 2. But Mike Tomlin made a fair point yesterday when he was asked that. He said, Jonnu Smith, we're not penciling him in as just a tight end, right? Like, he could play all over the field. So if DK does get hurt, I think, to answer your question, yeah, it's ugly. But if you have DK healthy with Jonnu, I think it's still a middle of the NFL weaponry, if you will.
Fair enough. Hey, by the way, we have a super chat coming in from our number 1 Austrian Jet fan, baby. We love to see it. Let's give a quick shout out. Yeah, now. Wow. Thank you. He says, every time I see BG and Woodinator, I go crazy with a G. Okay, crazy. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Let's throw that up on the big board here for a number 1 Austrian Jet fan. Speaking of this offense, I do want to ask you about that, Mike, because Arthur Smith had a funny comment earlier this offseason that basically, we didn't acquire DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers to run the wing T offense. So, which is interesting because, right, like when I think of Steelers, I think of, tough, rugged, run the football. But then you have Aaron Rodgers, this guy who, as we saw last year with the Jets, loves throwing the football all over the barnyard. So what the hell is the identity here? And is Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith on the same page on whatever the hell this identity is?
Another good conversation from Pittsburgh sports talk and folks that I talked to this week. This common misconception that has gone back to like 2004 and 2008 with Jerome Bettis and Bill Cowher, that the Steelers are just this tough ground and pound, beat you with the run game type team. Here's one that'll probably blow your mind. The Steelers haven't finished in the top 10 in rushing in over 10 years. I think it's 12, maybe 12 years at this point, maybe 2012, something like that. Which is kind of shocking, right? When you think about that, but people, throw that kind of cliche ground and pound. Pittsburghers do it left and right. Like, yeah, we're going to do it every year. Same way we do it. Run the ball and play good defense. Well, they haven't been able to run the ball that well, to be honest with you. They have been able to play good defense, at least in the regular season. So, I mean, what's the key? I'll put it this way. The key for the Steelers offense to work with Artie and Aaron and these weapons is throwing the ball over the middle of the field, which is something they did not do last year. They handcuffed Justin Fields. They wouldn't let him do it, or at least he didn't do it. And Russell Wilson strictly stuck to the outside, right? His moon ball, his, to Pickens, his deep balls to Calvin Austin. If you look at the deep metrics and analytics, you'd see the Steelers, one of the teams at the bottom of the league in throwing over the middle of the field, that, 15 to 25 kind of intermediate area. So they need to utilize that, and that'll be the tight ends. That'll be Freiermuth. That'll be Jonnu Smith. That could be DK still, right? Lining up in the slot. So that's what I think that's the biggest improvement they need to make offensively. I don't think it's the run game. Listen, Jaylen Warren you're going to get right? What you're going to get. You're going to get a tough-nosed runner, but he's not going to be Derrick Henry out there. He's not going to put up Saquon Barkley numbers. You know that. This comes down to Rodgers, these tight ends, throwing to the middle of the field, protecting the football, which is something Rodgers has always done, right? His whole career. You guys know that. But it's not going to be this classic, 70-30 run the ball to pass the ball ratio.
Wow. Yeah. I can definitely see that. And I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like Aaron Rodgers was, calling audibles at the line of scrimmage,
Can. Yeah.
Definitely was what did they say? Oh, forget it, Devontae. That's so we'll see how often that happens. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up, and you actually already brought it up, was the trade. That was a blockbuster trade.
Which one?
The
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Right, for Ramsey. And like you said, they just threw in John. I didn't even see that Jonathan Smith was part of that trade until the next day. That's how bad they disrespected our men's on that. But from the defensive perspective, what were your thoughts on that trade? And then how are you feeling about the? I mean, obviously, like you just said, been playing good defense for how many years in a row now? But that secondary specifically, how do you feel it's faring right now?
Reports out of camp, and my co-host on the Sig podcast, Steelers Crazy, Jordan York, I've been there a handful of times, are that Jalen Ramsey is still a unicorn. That's what Steelers analysts and folks that have been close to the team have described him as. They say it looks like this guy hasn't lost a step. He's going to play all over the field. He'll play slot. He'll play outside. Probably going to follow Garrett Wilson all game, I would imagine, wherever he goes. I think he'll even play some safety, which is why they felt comfortable giving up Minka in this deal. Minka's still a good player. He's not the player that he was a few years ago when he was an all-pro. Neither is Jalen Ramsey, probably, right? At the end of the day, these guys are getting older. But the Steelers just essentially put Minka 30 yards off the ball all year last year. And he was just a center fielder. He was just that high safety protecting the deep ball. And I think the Steelers kind of felt like there are other players that can handle that position, right? Like that's not somewhere exactly where you need to put your best defender 40 yards off the line of scrimmage just to protect the deep ball. And so, they have a couple players in the back end that they feel comfortable doing that. But they need a sticky guy on an elite receiver. And they think that Jalen Ramsey is that guy. They also brought in Darius Slay, who's long in the tooth. And I don't know how much I'm expecting out of him, but they don't need a ton out of him. They have Joey Porter Jr. as well. So the secondary, it's much improved. The defense they're talking a big game, fellas. They're talking a big game. And we don't love that around here right now. We really don't. We're hearing things like, Juan Thornhill say it has a chance to be the best defense ever. Deshaun Elliott, top 5 in the league. Mike Tomlin said it could be an historic defense. Wow. Yeah, it's a little much right now when you haven't played a snap. So I tweeted yesterday, you're talking all this junk, and then you're coming out and your first game is against a guy that you're familiar with in Justin Fields. Obviously you just lost Vera Tucker, so your line is not in the best shape. You guys really don't have a receiver too either. If the Steelers defense talks all this smoke and then you guys come out and rip them up, what a freaking terrible look that would be for the Steelers. Which is why I'm expecting like a 16-13, 16-10 type game.
Yeah, gross. Well, it's time to get an official prediction, Mike.
Okay.
So let's do it. We'll do this with every guest. You're our first one here on this third-party Thursday train throughout the season. So we have Jets Steelers. We have the information that we have available at this point in terms of injury reports and things of that nature. So we must do it based on that information that we have right now in this pocket of time on September 4th, a little after 3:30. So with that being said, Mike, with all the information you have, what will be the prediction for Jets Steelers Week 1 season opener at MetLife Stadium?
Yeah, I won't ramble too much. I do have a habit of doing that. I'll start with whatever happens. I don't think we should make sweeping judgments about either team. I really don't. You know how fans can be. Yeah, you know how we can be as analysts. Like we gotta tell it like it is. It's the first game with two new quarterbacks in different situations, a new head coach in your case, new offensive coordinator. This no sweeping judgment for me. Not going to shock you guys. I'm going. I haven't even made my official prediction yet, but I'll go Steelers. I will now officially. Steelers 17, Jets 13, which is close to a cover. For the it is a cover there for the Steelers as well. It looks like it's 2.5, 3 right now. Mm-hmm. Vegas is saying it's going to be a close game because of the uncertainty, the rust, the acclimation to playbooks and stadiums and things like that. I won't be surprised if the Jets win. I really won't. And the only thing I'd be shocked about is if one team rolls the other team.
Like either way, right?
Either way, like I think that would just shock everybody. You see like a 20-3 game, or right, like a 20, right, 24-7. Like I mean, either way, right? I completely shocked, man. I'll throw out let's go. Ooh. Mason Taylor, he's playing, right? Is he the one?
He sure is, yeah.
All right, we'll go Mason Taylor touchdown. Yeah. I'll go Mason Taylor.
Wow,
nice.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Right. Okay.
And then I'll go. Let's go. John, who gets in the end zone.
Gross.
And Jalen Warren for the Steelers 2 touchdowns.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And
I like
DK's
that.
on my fantasy team, so I mean, but no, I like that. I like that. As a matter of fact, I actually have the exact same score prediction as you, Mike. So now I can feel good that great minds thinking alike.
That makes me feel good. Let's go.
And here's this, Mike. You don't know this, but let's just put all the cards on the table here as we're ending this interview. Before the season, so the schedule comes out in May. It's Jets Steelers, and me and Wudi do all these shows every week talking about it. And I come on and go, wow, man, what a game this is going to be. And Woody's like, oh, God, the Steelers are clearly going to win this game. I'm like, what?
I think Boy Green is having amnesia. Live on this show, it was announced that Aaron Rodgers was going to the Steelers. And I said, wow, this is a revenge game. The same staff that just, kicked him out the door. No respect. Rodney Dangerfield, no respect. And I think
an automatic L basically is what he said. Aaron Rodgers on the Steelers? Okay, it's over. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How does that just mean it's over? Like, what? This isn't Aaron Rodgers 2010 we're talking about. How is this automatically over? And so a fan in the middle of our live show bet Woody's like, I bet you the Jets are going to beat the Steelers. And Woody's like, no, they ain't. So they have $100 on the line. Woody bet $100 that the Steelers are going to beat the Jets. The fan, of course, Badshaw, he bet $100 the Jets will beat the Steelers. And we're doing a tailgate party for the Week 5 Jets-Cowboys game, and the money will be exchanged one way or the other in the parking lot of that game. So Woody's got skin on the line, even as a Jets guy. He's got skin on the line that the Steelers won't beat the Jets.
Do you know what I actually have? I have a win-win situation. Either my team wins or my pocket wins. I mean, this is the best case scenario for your boy.
Well, if you don't win that, you better hope that fantasy team does well right there. You better root for that Jalen Warren touchdown then.
That is for sure. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time, brother. Again, you are killing it in the podcast game. My favorite part of this, I say this to every guest on any show that I do, the coolest part about this is that two fan bases, two analysts from different teams get to cross-pollinate, networking for Jets Steelers or Jets Bills the next week, or when we play different opponents that we don't normally play. It's cool to be able to have these moments where we get to talk ball and get on the show, Mike. So really appreciate you taking the time, brother.
Yeah, listen, I know we had you before, and that was awesome. So I definitely appreciate you guys having me, and we'll do it again during the wild card round when we're hosting you guys. All right, for Jets at Steelers. 4 seed? We'll call it 4 seed and 5 seed. So there we go. We'll see you in January.
All right, beautiful. Okay, that should be just in time for the Steelers to lose a playoff game as soon as they enter it. So nice, can't wait. Beautiful.
I know that word is foreign to you guys. So
how do you say it? You
don't get to say it much. So.
Off. We'll get it next time. But Mike, thanks for joining us. Yeah, appreciate
Anytime.
it.
Anytime. You got it. Thanks.
All right,
Appreciate
everybody. We'll see you. Enjoy the show. Thank you. Take